In this video, we're going to do a heads-up competition between a corded reciprocating saw and a cordless reciprocating saw. Find out which one wins coming up next. What's going on, folks? Kendall here with Renos for Pros and Joes, helping you simplify the renovation and remodeling process. On this channel, we do renovation tip and strategy videos as well as hands-on product tooling gear reviews. So if you're interested in renovation, remodeling, repair, or real estate, then subscribe because this channel and this content is for you. And so today's video, I'm extremely excited to bring to you because I've been waiting to make this video for a while. And I was actually prompted to go ahead and shoot it because I got a recent comment on a video that I made some time ago posing the question, which type of reciprocating saw is more powerful, a corded version or a cordless version, which means it's battery powered. And so today we've got two different saws in the Milwaukee line. I'm going to go over the specs on each one briefly, and then we're going to do a heads up competition to find out which one of these saws actually performs better. So without any further ado, let me go ahead and introduce the two saws. We will start with the corded version first, and then I will show you the cordless version, which you have seen me use on multiple occasions. So here we go. So this is the corded version that we're going to be using today. This is in the Milwaukee line, and this particular saw has a lot of power to it. This is one of the more powerful reciprocating saws that they have. It has got a dial here on the side that allows you to determine how much power that you want it to deliver. It has a dial that goes from 1 to 5, and you simply adjust it to how much power you want to have on it, at 5 being the strongest, 1 being the weakest. This is one difference between this saw and the cordless version, because the cordless version allows you to determine how hard you want the saw to work based on how far down you pull the trigger. So this saw, you just pull the trigger down and it only works at 1 speed. It's going to be determined how powerful it's going to be working based on where you have the dial set between 1 to 5. Additionally, we also have the head on this saw where you attach the blade. It attaches a little bit differently than the saw over here because we're going to actually twist the housing here, which allows the blade to slip into position. So the next thing I want to show you with this saw is how we attach the blade, because between these two saws they're slightly different. This one, you reach in here underneath the shoe and you twist this top of the mechanism that holds the blade, twist it like this, and then we stick the blade in here, and then you let go and it locks back and the blade is secured. This is the shoe on the saw, and this allows you to control how much travel the blade has. So you can make it shorter or longer. The way they have it set up right now, the shoe is pushed all the way down, which means the blade has the maximum amount of travel. You control that here on the bottom by pulling up this lever, and this allows us to slide the shoe up and down. You can actually even take the shoe off, but that's not recommended for safety reasons. So for this competition, we're actually going to have the shoe all the way down because we want to have maximum travel on this saw. These are the basics. As far as the way that these saws are spec'd out, it makes it very difficult to compare which one is the strongest on paper, which is one of the reasons why we're going to be doing the comparison here in real time. We're going to be using a pruning blade, which is 9 inches, and we're going to be cutting up some wood, which you see behind me, and we're going to do some time trials and see which one of these saws performs the best. You've seen me use this reciprocating saw that has the battery pack on it many times. This will actually be my first time using this particular saw, so I'm really interested to see how it will perform. Another difference that we have between these two saws is that this saw has an additional feature that the battery powered saw does not have, and that is that this saw actually has an orbital mode, which means that instead of just moving back and forth like regular reciprocating saws do, it has a lever here on the top that you can see that you can slide over like this, and when you do that, it changes the motion of the saw and makes it move like this, which makes it a more aggressive motion, which should increase your efficiency of cutting. So we're going to do something a little bit different here. We're going to start off with both saws using them in the regular motion and see which one performs the best, and then we'll try this saw out again in the orbital mode to see if it actually makes a difference in the heads up competition. So I think that's enough on this saw. Let me bring in the tried and true one, and then we'll go over that one, and then we'll go ahead and get everything set up to go ahead and start the competition. Alright, so here's the saw that you've seen me use a gazillion times. This is an M18 fuel saw. I'm using a 9 amp hour battery here, which is a high demand battery. Simply slips in here. And I'll also show you that we've got a full charge. Because I've got extensive experience with using this battery, I know that we're not going to come anywhere close to burning it up today with the competition that we're going to be doing. And I also want to show you how the blade on this one attaches, because on the other one you reach in and you twist on the housing here behind the shoe to be able to put the blade in. This one has a slightly different mechanism, and it's got a slotted place right here on the side. You can see this switch right here. We pull that switch down and then we slip the blade in and let go of it, and we're locked in. Similar to the other saw, we've got this lever here on the bottom that allows us to adjust the shoe here up and down. Just like the other one, the shoe also comes off, but we want to keep that on. Got it caught up here in the blade slightly here, got that back down in here. So we've got our shoe all the way down. Now between these two saws, the distance between the back of the shoe and the housing that holds the blade is approximately the same. And according to the specs, the travel on both of these saws, when they're adjusted to have the shoe all the way down at its lowest point, is the same. So our travel on these two saws is going to be the same with our blades while we have it in the standard mode. So it should be a relatively even competition. Both of these saws are made by the same manufacturer, which is Milwaukee. This is the Fuel line, which is the more powerful of their battery powered tools. And so we're going to go ahead and start our competition now. So let me go ahead and get the table and everything set up, and then we'll come back. We're going to cut up some wood. So go ahead and place your bets now with regards to which one of these saws you think is going to perform the best. We're going to do approximately 3 trials on each one. Then we'll switch up and change over and start using the corded version in orbital mode to see if that actually makes a difference. Stay tuned. Okay folks, now I've got everything set up. I did want to take a moment just to show you what these two saws look like side by side, to show you what their different heights look like. So as you can see here, the housings on the top of them is slightly different. But as I said, you can see if you look very, very, very closely here, you can see that where the blades and everything are attached is approximately the same, as well as the distance that the shoe is from the blade housing. And you can see that the saws are similar in size. I would say that the corded saw is a little bit longer on the back end. So which one should we start with? So since my experience is with the cordless saw, let's start with the corded saw. And I'm going to make sure before we get started to set this thing into the regular mode here, and then I'm going to also turn this thing all the way up to 5 so that it's cutting at its fastest and most powerful. So we've got it plugged in now. Certainly feels powerful. All right folks, we had to switch out our piece of wood here because I want to be able to try to put as much pressure on this saw as it cuts as possible. Not excessive pressure, but just be able to rest my hand here and apply a constant pressure here to make sure that I'm able to guide the blade and make sure that it's working as efficiently as possible. And that's going to be difficult to do as the piece of wood gets shorter. So the wood we had before was a good size to start with, but probably by the 3rd or 4th cut, it was going to be too difficult for me to try to be able to apply pressure on it on this end without having something to hold it down on this end. So that's why we've switched out. And so hopefully this piece is long enough for us to be able to get enough cuts. If it's not, then we'll have to switch off and try something else. So we'll deal with that when we get there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, start your engines. And 3, 2, 1, go. So the official time on that first cut was 13.24 seconds. Let's see if we can beat that. I'm going to try to work on my technique here a little bit better to see if we can get our time down. May have to try to put my knee on this thing just to hold it in place and we'll see how that does. So let's go ahead and get our time set again, and let's go with 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, we did better that time. The official time that time around was 11 seconds. So let's see on our third time if we can beat that. I think that's going to be difficult to beat, but we'll give it a shot here. I think, let's see if I can get it down into the tens. And we're going to start in 3, 2, 1, go. Flipped. All right, guys, that was a miscut. I'm just going to go ahead and cut all the way through this so that we can go ahead and reset. So you can see when I don't have two hands on the saw, it still cuts very well, but it does not cut nearly as fast. So now that I've got this set up here, let's see if I can kind of figure out how I want to position this thing to keep it from slipping and sliding so much. My table was a little bit shorter, or if I was a little bit taller, it'd be a little bit easier to do this. So let's see here. I'll try to position this thing accordingly. If I had my leg up here. All right, folks. It may not be pretty, but I think this is going to be the most effective way to do this. So in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, we killed it on that one. Official time is 9.87 seconds. So that's 3 trial runs, or 3 trials on this corded saw. Let's just go ahead and switch over to the battery powered one and see how it stacks up. I'm a little nervous now. Here we go. Now remember that we changed out the way that we were holding this wood virtually each time I cut, and so the 9.87 was the best time. So we're not going to be looking at averages, we're going to essentially be looking at what is the best time or the fastest time I can cut at, because obviously through trial and error I've determined that putting my leg on top of this wood is going to make it a lot easier for me to control it, which allows me to focus on holding the saw in place and making sure that I've got it angled properly to go ahead and try to make my most efficient cutting motions. So let's go ahead and try that. I'll go ahead and do the first one the same way just to see if it makes that big of a difference, and then we'll switch over there afterwards. So here we go, and 3, 2, 1, go. All right, kind of had the same problem there, guys. The wood is getting shorter and it just keeps slipping, so I'm going to go ahead and cut through this one, and then we'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and just put my leg on top of it. Okay, all right, so scratch that. It's going to be leg on top going forward. So let me go ahead and get this thing adjusted here and get it positioned the way that we want it. And 3, 2, 1, go. Sorry, false start there. 3, 2, 1, go. I don't don't even have to look at the time to know that that one was abysmal. That was 25.89 seconds. You've got to be able to do better than that. Let's go ahead and restart our clock, and we'll go ahead and give this a second shot. 3, 2, 1, go. That one was a little bit better, but it's 22.95. We're not even getting close. So let's try this one more time. I'm really surprised, guys, and disappointed. This is my favorite saw. So let's go ahead and get reset, and then we're gonna go ahead and make our final cut with this one and see how it does. Don't think we're gonna cut the time in half, but hopefully we can improve a little bit from our first 2 times. So 3, 2, and before I do this, I'm gonna let you know that I'm gonna try to push this thing as hard as I can without damaging the blade here on this 3rd trial, just to see if we can catch up and make up some of that lost time here on our execution. So 3, 2, 1, go. Oh man, guys, 22.74 seconds. So that's pretty much as best we can do here with this saw, is about 22 and change. We'll just round it up and call it 23 seconds. So that's more than twice as long as it took to cut through on our best time with the corded saw. So that is a pretty decisive victory for the corded saw. Super surprised on that. So now that we've cut 3 of each and we've got enough data to kind of compare the two, let's go back to the corded saw and switch over to the orbital mode to see if we can get that time down even further, or if it makes a difference at all. So as I showed you earlier, on this saw it goes from the traditional motion to orbital cut just by pushing this lever here across the top from left to right. So now we've gone from traditional to orbital mode. And trying to see if I can visually see a difference here. Hard to see the difference in looking at it in real time, guys. Let's go ahead and see if the clock tells the tale. So I've got everything queued up here. I've got the wood and everything secured the same way. Made sure that we've got this thing on orbital mode. We're going to go ahead and count in 3, 2, 3, 2, 1. Official time on that, 10.63 seconds. So not quite as good as our final time with this saw. Let's go ahead and try a couple more times to see if it makes a difference. I notice we're getting into some knots here on this piece of wood. So let's spin this thing around here and see if we can cut from this end, see if it makes a difference. This end's a little bit smoother. So still got it here in orbital mode. Let's go ahead and try this thing again. Make sure that we don't have any type of discrepancies in time here. 3, 2, 1. That was 13.4 seconds, guys, so the time is going up. Let's try one more time. I'm surprised. Three, two, one, wait. Three, two, one. .39 seconds. So guys, I'm kind of feeling like this piece of wood is vibrating more as the shorter it gets, and so I need to get my thigh up on it a little bit further to keep it from moving around. I want to give this one more shot with this in orbital mode to make sure that it's not just user error. So I've got it adjusted pretty much where I want it now, and then we're going to go ahead and try this from this position. So here we go in 3, 2, 1, go. .38, virtually the same, so we couldn't beat it. Let's just make sure that it's not user error. We're still in the same position here. I've switched it out of orbital mode and we're switching in to just a regular cut. As you can see here though, we're getting close into a branch here, which may make it a little bit more difficult to cut. Not sure, but let's go ahead and try it anyway while we've got it here and see if it still results in a shorter time to cut than orbital mode. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. That was 14.7 seconds, guys. So I'm not sure if it's the blade is just getting duller or what's going on. I noticed that one didn't cut nearly as smoothly. And as I'm looking at it, I'm not exactly sure why. I'm gonna do one more cut this way with our regular mode, leg back up. And let's see if it makes any difference. And we're gonna kick it off here in 3, 2, 1. That was 13 seconds even. So can't match what we did initially. So I'm thinking that probably part of our drop in our efficiency is just due to the fact that the blade is not as sharp as it was when we first started out. However, when we're comparing these two saws, we can clearly see that there's a huge difference in the time that it takes to cut with the corded version versus the cordless. And another thing that I will say that I noticed when comparing these two is that the battery powered saw seemed to vibrate a little bit more than this saw, and that could be partially just due to the overall difference in weight. I don't have the specs here with me right now, but I can feel it just in holding it that this saw has more weight to it than the battery powered version. And I think that's true even when we factor in the battery pack. So I feel like that probably makes a little bit of a difference. And when we compare the two side by side and hold them up, you can see that the corded version also has kind of more meat cup here on the front to grab onto, which may also account for some of the differences. But as I said, I am very surprised that the difference is this big. This is my first time using a corded reciprocating saw made by Milwaukee, and I'm impressed with the way this one performed. I'm also surprised that the orbital function did not seem to make very much of a difference, if any at all, with regards to the speed at which we were able to cut through this wood. So there you have it, guys. Hopefully you found this video informative and somewhat entertaining. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And this is going to be the first of potentially a series of these type of videos, because as you saw, we just did wood today. These are pruning blades that we're using on the saws today. However, there are also other blades and other options that we can use with cutting other types of material. So if you enjoyed this video, give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment in the comment section below. See you guys on the next one. Also, if you're interested in this table here that you saw me working on today, I'll have a link to this in the description box below as well. Peace.